I remember I went to my family reunion, and out of nowhere, I ended up seeing this girl that was there, and she was like the hottest girl there, which I know sounds crazy, but you gotta understand, what ended up happening next made me think that I did it at a family reunion. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane but crazy story. Now, today's story all starts back a long time ago. I want to say this was like back in my grade 10 year, and in my grade 10 year, you guys may know I was a massive player. The only things I was good at was playing video games and doing the Devil's Tango. I'm not gonna lie, there was this one moment in my grade 10 year that was kind of insane, because I remember during spring break of my grade 10 year, I was just hanging out having a good time, and then my mom ended up calling me home for dinner. So right as I was heading home, I remember I ended up getting like a bunch of phone calls, and I was placed in this group chat on Facebook. Now, one thing you guys should know about me, I never use Facebook. To be honest with you, Facebook is something that I probably only would use to talk to my grandma or talk to old people that I never really get to speak to, I guess, which sounds really bad, but going on. I remember when I pulled out my phone, I saw that in the group chat was just full of my old family members and people that I never even recognized. And as I'm scrolling through this list of like 35 people, I realized that everyone had the same last name as me. So in my mind, I automatically assumed, oh, okay, so I guess we're having a family reunion. So I got home instantly and I sat down for dinner with my family, and that's when I brought up, I have a question. Are we going to a family reunion anytime soon? At that moment, my mom looked at me and she stood up from the table and said, Bubba, it was supposed to be a surprise, but yes, we're having a lot of people over. The entire family's gonna come over, and we haven't seen each other in a very long time, so this is gonna be very good for us. At that moment, I started to panic because I'm not gonna lie to you, I love my family, but when it comes to a family reunion, things can get kind of wild. If you guys don't know, I'm Persian, or at least half Persian, so my Middle Eastern genes make us have wild parties naturally. But going on, I remember I was like kind of like, okay, whatever, it is what it is, and I didn't think too much of it. But on the day of the family reunion, well, things kind of got insane, because I remember I ended up waking up that morning and instantly hear a knock at the door. I was super confused because it was 8 a.m. and the party wasn't supposed to start till like 6 p.m. But I ended up going downstairs and I opened the door and I saw it was my grandma and a bunch of my relatives deciding to come early to help out with the party. So automatically right away in the household, we already had like, I guess like 7 people there, because I had a pretty big family growing up. From there, I was like, okay, you know, things can't get any worse. It's just family. This is normal. But as time went on, almost like every 2 hours, someone else came in through the door. And the house started to fill up more and more until out of nowhere, I ended up answering the door one time to let in more people. And I realized it was a really young boy and his older sister with her parents that came through the door. Now, I've never seen these people in my life, okay? I've never seen them ever. But right as they were walking through the door, I ended up looking at the girl, and she was around my age, and she like looked pretty attractive. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I know that sounds insane, because reminder, she ended up coming for my family reunion, but trust me, just keep listening, it gets a lot worse and weirder. Anyways, I remember the little boy ended up looking at me, and he started talking to me and stuff, because I was like one of the only guys in the house at the time, other than my dad and his dad, I guess. And I ended up like kind of like talking to him, and I ended up plopping him in front of the TV to play on my PlayStation 3, just so he would leave me alone and not touch my console upstairs where I play my video games usually. Anyways, as he was distracted, I always noticed how anywhere the little kid went, the little boy, the sister, or at least who I thought was the sister at the time, ended up basically following him around. It was like she was almost more of a babysitter than a sister, but I really didn't care. When I plopped in front of the TV though, like I said earlier, I remember we ended up sitting on the couch, and when we sat down, I ended up sitting beside the girl. And the girl looks at me saying, oh, like, you guys have a really nice house. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm happy you like it. Yeah, so like, how many rooms are in this house? Oh, there's like 7 bedrooms. But like, to be honest, like, we don't use all of them. Wow, like, is your family rich or something? Now, I'm gonna say this real quick. My family wasn't rich. I know it sounds insane, but we weren't like loaded. Okay, we were just like well off, if that makes any sense. But going on with the story, I remember me and her, we started talking about school and stuff, and I realized that she actually didn't live that far from me. She went to a different school, obviously, but she only lived like a 20-minute drive from me. But as me and this girl were talking, I remember the little boy, like halfway through him playing a video game, he ended up standing up and looking at me, and he's like, why are you talking to her? She doesn't like you. Leave her alone. I remember at that moment I looked at her and she's like, oh, just don't worry about it. Just walk away. So I ended up standing up and walking away, and I decided not to annoy her anymore because I didn't want to get in trouble by the little boy's parents. I remember as time went on, obviously more people came, and it got to the point where the house was filled with basically over 40 people. Some people ended up bringing friends down, and it was honestly like like crazy. But I remember every time I would walk around talking to people and talking to other family members, I always noticed that the girl that was taking care of the little boy that was apparently related to me would stare at me all the time. Like, this girl kept staring at me with her 1,000 eggplant stare, like, nonstop. I remember it got to the point where I ended up basically needing a break because my social battery was being drained from how many times I had to talk to my relatives. So I decided to go upstairs to my room and I closed it. But I noticed as I was going up the stairs, she was staring at me as well. I ended up turning on my console and I ended up sitting in my bed and started to play Call of Duty just to kind of relax. And then 20 minutes later go by and I ended up hearing someone knock on my door. Now, I knew it wasn't my mom because my mom usually just walks in. She never actually knocks on the door, which I've had many crazy moments with that happening, going wrong. But going on with the story, I remember I ended up answering the door saying, "Come in." And then this girl that was supposed to watch the little boy ended up walking in. She walks into my room, she sits on my bed and says, "Oh, so like, are you enjoying your family reunion? Because you seem to be cooped up in here a lot." "Oh yeah, you know, I'm just taking a break from everyone, I guess." "Yeah, I feel that. Family reunions can be so exhausting. I know mine was." And once she said that, I was really confused because I thought this girl was like my relative of like some sorts, either a cousin or like a distant cousin, or even maybe my auntie. I really don't know. But then I ended up looking at her confused and I was like, "Wait, so what's your last name?" She ends up looking at me and she's like, why are you asking that?" Because I'm just curious." "Oh, well, my last name is," and then she ended up saying her last name, and her last name was not the same as mine. Okay, it wasn't. It was a totally different last name. So in my mind, I thought, you know what? This girl's kind of hot. Let me talk to her a bit. So me and her started talking and we started like, you know, basically talking about life and stuff and how school's annoying and all the basics of what most high schoolers talk about. And then one thing led to another. I remember she came a bit closer to me and well, that's when it happened. We ended up making out and well, we ended up doing the Devil's Tango in my bedroom, as literally there was a whole family reunion going on downstairs. I know it sounds insane. Okay, I get it, but you gotta understand, she was hot. So going on from there, I remember as me and her were doing the Devil's Tango, out of nowhere, I ended up hearing another knock on my door. And I was like, "Oh shoot, get up and get ready." And as I was getting dressed, this kid that was supposed to be plopped in front of my PlayStation 3 ended up walking into my room and saw me doing this girl. And he's like, what are you doing to my babysitter?" At that moment, I'm like, "Oh, it's your babysitter." Yeah, big whoops. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really know that. But honestly, I wasn't complaining because, hey, at least we know it wasn't one of my distant relatives, okay? And well, yeah, obviously he started freaking out, screaming. My mom came upstairs, saw what I was doing, and I got in major trouble. To be honest, it was the talk of the entire family reunion about how I did that. And I think ever since that day, I don't think I ever had another family reunion I went to, nor was I invited to another one, which if my family's watching this, can I please go to another one? Like, I promise I'm not gonna do the Devil's Tango. But if you guys would do it at a family reunion, fall for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys. Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, today's story is honestly super disgusting, and I really don't want to say this story, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie to you, this was brought up the other day from when I was hanging out with my family, and I will say this much, it is something that I think is too good not to tell. So before anyone thinks, yes, I did perform incest, but in a way where I am honestly disgusted by it. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to an insane story. So today's story takes place back in high school, and this was my grade 10 year. Now in grade 10, I won't lie to you, I was a total F-boy, meaning that no matter what, I was always interested in doing the Devil's Tango. Anyways, I remember one time during my grade 10 year, I was sitting down for my family dinner, and basically my family was talking about how, you know, we're not really close with our family tree, meaning that, you know, we didn't really get to talk to our ancestors or relatives or anything, because I'm gonna be honest, well, I just didn't care, but my family did start care, and they started talking about how we should become closer with our relatives. So to make this happen, I remember my dad ended up telling me, "Bubba, we're gonna host a family reunion." Now, family reunions, I thought were things that only happened in movies that were super cringe, but apparently actually people have them. And I remember me thinking that this was going to be the most biggest bummer ever. I was not excited, but obviously my dad wanted me to have a teaching lesson about how close family is supposed to be and how, you know, family is a big deal. Basically, he was pulling a Dom Toretto on me. If you guys don't know who Dom Toretto is, you need serious help. But going on though, anyways, I remember the next day, my family decided to invite basically all of our relatives, and I'm not gonna lie to you, some of them I didn't even know existed. Like, did you know it's possible to have a second and third cousin and even a fourth cousin? Like, you know how far of a cousin line you can have? Anyways, I remember basically my family invited whoever they could that night, and the next day is when things got really insane, because I remember the next morning I ended up hearing people knocking on the door of our house, and I'm not joking, some family like literally flew across like Canada just to come see us. Now I thought this was insane, and I thought this was like actually like bizarre, because obviously, you know, there's some people that I wasn't gonna meet, but
I was somehow related to. In a way, it was kind of an eye-opening experience until obviously my grade 10 F-boyness came out when two girls ended up walking into my house. Now, obviously, these two girls I've never seen before. They were definitely not part of my town or part of my school. But obviously, I won't lie to you, one of them did not look related to me at all, and the other one looked really related to me. And when I asked my mom who they were, my mom said that there was, you know, my 14th cousin or whatever, and that was her friend that she invited to, you know, not feel alone and bored. So me knowing that one of them was my relative and the other one wasn't made me think that I could maybe pull some riz and, you know, I'm not gonna lie to you, go see if I can, you know, strut my stuff. That sounds disgusting, but you guys know the channel well enough to know that I do the devil's tango whenever I literally can. And at this point, if they're walking into my house, you're fighting in my territory. Anyways, going on from there, I remember basically I ended up walking up to these two girls and I introduced myself. I said, hey, like, welcome to my house. My name's Bubba. What's going on? And obviously, one of the girls that looked related to me, I'm not gonna lie to you, I basically made it my mission to not pay attention to her. Obviously, I said hi to her because she was my relative. Obviously, I didn't, like, you know, show any appreciation or care for her. As for the other girl that looked absolutely, like, not related to me, I remember she ended up basically shaking my hand, and me and her, we started talking about life and a lot of things that basically we had in common. And I won't lie to you, for a girl that wasn't my relative, we had a lot in common. Me and her, we actually had, like, surprisingly a lot in common. Family issues to, you know, things we enjoyed from playing video games. Like, this girl seemed like one of those girls that seemed really out of the blue. Now, me thinking this was a dream come true, I remember me and her, we started flirting and we ate dinner together, and the whole time, I'm not joking, I was flirting with this girl full on. And I'm not gonna lie to you, with her friend that was there that looked like she was my relative, I will say this much, I did not pay attention to her whatsoever, because obviously she was my relative and I didn't want her thinking that, you know, I was flirting with her. But obviously one thing led to another, and her friend ended up getting annoyed and ended up leaving. So me knowing that my relative left the room, I ended up basically looking at the girl that I was talking to and basically told her, hey, like, do you want to, like, maybe, like, go downstairs and, like, just chill in my room for a bit? She ended up saying yes, because obviously I told her that I had, like, a really cool PlayStation 4 that I had, and she ended up actually coming downstairs, and me and her, we started playing video games together. We were playing video games together almost all night. Like, I'm not joking, like, my family reunion went on for so long to the point where I want to say it was almost like 9:30 at night, and they were still going. And I remember me and her, we ended up playing video games till eventually, I'm not gonna lie to you, I decided to pull my Riz move and put my arm around her. Now, at this point, this girl did not seem fazed by it. She seemed like she was totally cool with it, and she actually liked it. And then one thing led to another. Me and her, we ended up actually, like, you know, going to my bed, and I will say this much, me and her, we started making out. Now, when we started making out, I don't know why, but I started getting this weird instinct. I don't know what it was, but it seemed really good, but at the same time, really weird at the same time. I don't know why. It just felt really odd. And then that's when I started realizing that as she was taking off her clothes, that this girl might not be who she says she is. And right at that moment, right as she takes off all her clothes and I'm about to whip out my eggplant, my mom ends up coming downstairs. My mom came downstairs looking at me saying, what are you doing with your 14th cousin? I was super confused, and that's when I realized that this girl was related to me. I was making out with my relative, and when I asked her saying, like, how is that even possible? She looks nothing like me, and you said that you brought her friend, I thought she was the friend, but apparently the friend was actually the girl that actually looked related to me. Kind of crazy. Honestly, this whole story is a kerfuffle, and honestly, I don't really actually want to tell this story because it makes me look disgusting. But other than that, please make sure you guys do leave a like and subscribe, and honestly, I'm probably gonna tell a better story later on this week. But like I always say, fall for more embarrassing stories. Peace out, guys. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name's Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. So this story is about when I saw my friend literally dating his own sister, and it gets really awkward. So trust me, if you guys don't have a strong stomach, I don't think you should watch this video. But if you do watch the end of this video, make sure you guys click that subscribe button so I know you guys want to see more. Anyways, this all starts off back when I was actually funny enough in grade 11. Now, quick reminder, all the stories I tell didn't happen in one school. If you guys don't know, I've actually been to 3 different high schools. So, you know, I've been around, literally and mentally. Anyways, going on, I remember back when I was in grade 11, the high school I went to, a lot of girls were really awkward, but I'm not gonna lie, a lot of them were attractive. And not only that, but there was one time where my buddy walked up to me, and he said, yo, Bubba, bro, I'm not gonna lie, man, trust me, bro, I took all your advice on how to pull girls, and I got a girlfriend, and she is literally amazing. I remember I looked at him, and I did not remember what advice I gave him. So I asked him, wait, sorry, which advice did I give you? And the advice I told him was, honestly, follow your heart, and whatever girl you think is best for you, just go with it. He basically ended up repeating that to me, and I realized that that advice ended up being taken too literally. You guys will see. Just keep listening. I remember, you know, I was happy for him at first because obviously I didn't know who the girl was. And me and him, we were basically celebrating together. And then he said, yo, Bubba, tonight, if you want, we can go see a movie with my girl, and like you can bring your own girl, and like we gotta do like a double date thing. Are you down for that? I remember when he said that, I was kind of just not really wanting to go at first because like I'm not one for really double dates. Like I think double dates are the dumbest things ever invented. But at the same time, you know, I was happy for my buddy, so I said, yeah, sure, I'll go, man. He got super happy and ended up walking away. And I know, even though I was somewhat happy for him, I realized that this was the most dumbest thing I've ever done. Just keep watching, you'll see why. I remember after school came around, and some rumors were going around the school that I was told of, that apparently my buddy's sister, the one that got a girlfriend, his sister ended up also getting a new boyfriend. I found it really odd how they both got into a relationship at the same time. But at the same time though, I don't know, maybe it was just fate. It was just a coincidence. I don't know. I didn't really overthink it too much, but a lot of people are saying that since that rumor came out, they're dating each other. Now, I thought it was a joke. I laughed at it a couple of times when people told me about the situation, and I just found it hilarious. And then I remember I walked up to one of my buddies and I'm like, dude, you guys hear the rumor that like apparently like he's dating his sister? They all looked at me and they're like, bro, he is. I looked at him and I'm like, what do you mean he is? Like, no, he's not. They looked at me again with their eyes wide open saying, dude, he's literally actually dating his sister. Look at his wallpaper when you go to class with him. I remember I looked at both of them and I was like kind of just weirded out, but at the same time I was like, whatever. So I ended up going to my next class and we sat beside each other in that next class. And when I sat beside him, I really wanted to see his phone. Usually he had his phone flipped up, but this time he had his phone flipped down. He only had the camera facing up and he did not show anyone his phone. I remember I asked him like, yo, bro, like, let me see what your girl looks like. He looks at me and he's like, oh, nah, bro, it's a surprise. Trust me. Like, you'll see her tonight. She's on fire. Like, trust me, you'll love her, bro. I remember I looked at him and I'm like, so like, where'd you meet this girl? He looks at me and he's like, dude, trust me, man. Like, I met her. Like, it was just fate, man. Like, I don't know. We're just so relatable. No, really? Is what I thought in my head. But at the same time, I remember I looked at him like, dude, I really just want to see this girl now. Like, can you just show me who she is? Because I heard a rumor that you're dating her sister and it's just getting in my mind. I got straight up honest with him. And then he said, you know what, bro? You'll meet her tonight. That's so dumb. People think I'm dating my sister. Anyways, yeah, just you'll meet her tonight. Trust me. Okay, is what I said. And I ended up walking away. When I walked away and saw my other buddies again that told me that he was actually dating his sister, they looked at me and said, bro, so did you see it? Did you see his wallpaper? Remember I looked at both of them and I like literally thought in my mind that he was probably trolling them, saying that like, you know, he was dating his sister just because it was a good rumor going around. It was just, you know, a joke. So I looked at both of them and I said, bro, like he's just trolling you guys. He said, like, trust me, just to kind of get the rumor to rest, because that's what I usually would do. If there was like a really dumb rumor going around, I would just lie about like it being a rumor and just die it down, I guess, if the rumor was true. And anyways, I basically said, oh yeah, like he was just trolling you guys. And they were both like kind of just like confused, but then walked away. Knowing that I put that rumor to rest was a good thing. It was a manly thing to do, or in a way a good friend would do. And then I remember when I went home that day after school, I ended up getting ready and I called like over 6 different girls. One of them was for sure going to pick up for us going to the movies that night. One of them ended up calling me back saying, hey Bubba, like, do you still want to go to that movie tonight? Like, I'm so down. Oh yeah, what time should I pick you up? OMG, like, can you pick me up at like 7-ish if the movie starts at 8? Because like I need like some time to get ready, but at the same time I still want to order popcorn on time. Yeah, I didn't really care why she was telling me that, but I ended up telling her, yeah, so like we gotta be at the theater at like 8 though. Like, you good with that? Like at least 8:30 so we can meet up with him. Wait, him is what she said afterwards. I said, yeah, like we're meeting up with the guy, like, you know. She literally says over the phone, OMG, like, don't you realize that like he's dating his sister? OMG, bro, how many people was he trolling with this? Is what I said. And I ended up telling her, nah, he's just trolling about that. Trust me, like you're good. She ends up being like, oh, okay, and ends up getting ready. 2 hours later, I end up going to pick her up and we end up driving to the theater. And when I did, I remember I ended up meeting up with my buddy and I saw him there first. I saw him there and I'm like, yo, dude, where's your girlfriend? And his girlfriend ends up being right behind him, and it was his little sister of 2 years. Reminder, this guy was in grade 10, same age as me, and his sister was in grade 8. This was disgusting. I remember I looked at him like, dude, that's your sister. Are you trolling me right now? Because I thought he was joking. I didn't want to believe that he was actually dating his sister. I refuse. He looks at me, he's like, dude, you gotta understand, man, like me and her, we're so relatable, and like, you know, like she's really attractive and like she's great. Dude, that's your sister, is what I told him out loud, screaming in the theater when we were outside the theater. Everyone started looking at us and he looks at me, he's like, dude, tone it down, like chill. Trust me, let's just go see the movie. I'll talk about it there. We ended up going to the theater, and I ended up walking with this girl. And this girl that I was with that I brought was so awkwarded out. She didn't want to be there anymore. Like, she was grossed out. And then I remember as I was like, you know, going to our chairs and we sat down, we started talking. Me and him, we started talking. I'm like, dude, that's your actual sister. And then he says, yeah, but like, bro, you gotta understand, like, I care about her more than anyone, man. That's great, man, but she's your sister. Like, don't you find it gross? I remember his sister was cuddling him as if like they were actually like in a romantic relationship. And then I remember I kind of just started ignoring it and just trying to watch the movie because the movie started. And I remember midway through the movie, as this girl was like cuddling up against me that I had brought, and then the girl that he brought, aka his sister, was cuddling up against him. It was super gross because they ended up kissing in the theater. His own sister that was 2 years younger was making out with her older brother that was 2 years older. I don't know. I was grossed out. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't be there anymore. I literally stood up and I literally said to him, bro, that is your goddamn sister. Everyone in the movie just kind of like went quiet and the lights came on. I remember he looked at me. He's like, dude, like, you really had to do that in front of everyone? Yeah. And I'm going to talk to your parents about it. I remember we ended up leaving and we ended up like basically not being friends anymore. And then let's just say you ended up getting his sister pregnant. But you know what? That's a conversation for another time that we don't have to talk about on this channel because this was just straight up incest and disgusting. But anyways, guys, if you guys do want to hear more, make sure to do leave a like and subscribe, and also follow me on Instagram if you guys haven't already. Peace out, guys.